November 24th, 1971, Thanksgiving Eve, a man bought a one-way ticket from Portland to Seattle using the name Dan Cooper. He wore a black suit, a black tie, and sunglasses. He carried a briefcase. He ordered a bourbon and soda, and then he handed the flight attendant a note. "I have a bomb." Inside his briefcase, red cylinders wired together. He wasn't bluffing. His demands were simple: $200,000 in $20 bills, 4 parachutes, and a fuel truck standing by in Seattle. The FBI delivered everything. The plane landed. The passengers were released. The crew stayed on board. And then, somewhere over the forests of Washington State, at 10,000 feet, in freezing rain and total darkness, the man known as D.B. Cooper opened the rear stairs of the Boeing 727, strapped on a parachute, grabbed the money, and jumped into the night. He was never seen again. No body, no parachute, no arrest. For over 50 years, the FBI has hunted for the man who pulled off the only unsolved skyjacking in American history. This is the story of D.B. Cooper, the ghost who jumped from the sky, and the evidence that still can't explain what happened.
The hijacker, calling himself D.B. Cooper, jumped from an airliner in flight
and demanded a $200,000 ransom and a parachute.
305, we have a hijack in progress.
He said to me, all I have to do is attach this wire to this gadget here.
It doesn't feel good to acknowledge that this is the only unsolved skyjacking in America.
Northwest Orient Flight 305, Thanksgiving Eve, 1971. A short hop from Portland to Seattle, 36 passengers, a routine flight, seat 18C. A man in his mid-40s, dark hair, brown eyes, about 5'10", 170 pounds. He wore a business suit and carried a briefcase. He ordered a bourbon and soda. Then he handed flight attendant Florence Schaffner a note. She thought it was a phone number. She almost threw it away. But he leaned forward and whispered, "Miss, you better look at that note. I have a bomb." The note was precise, calm, professional. Schaffner sat down. He opened the briefcase just enough for her to see inside. Red cylinders, wires, a battery. She walked to the cockpit. The captain radioed Seattle. The FBI was waiting. Cooper's demands: $200,000 in $20 bills, 4 parachutes, and a refueling truck ready on the tarmac. The plane circled Seattle for 2 hours while the FBI gathered the ransom. When Flight 305 finally landed, a crew member delivered a knapsack filled with cash and the parachutes. Cooper released all 36 passengers. He kept the flight crew. Then he ordered the pilot to take off again. Destination, Mexico City. Fly low, fly slow. Keep the rear stairs unlocked. And somewhere over the dense forests of southwestern Washington, D.B. Cooper did the impossible. He jumped. At 8 p.m., the Boeing 727 took off from Seattle, heading south toward Reno, Nevada. Cooper ordered the flight crew into the cockpit. He told them not to come out. At 8:13 p.m., the plane's tail dipped slightly. A warning light flashed. The rear stairs had been deployed. D.B. Cooper had jumped. But here's what makes this jump nearly impossible. The temperature outside was 19 degrees Fahrenheit, freezing rain, zero visibility. The plane was flying at 10,000 feet. The airspeed was 170 knots, 196 miles per hour. Wind shear at that speed can rip a parachute apart. Cooper was wearing loafers, a business suit, a thin raincoat, no cold weather gear, no helmet, no goggles. He jumped into total darkness over one of the most remote wilderness areas in the Pacific Northwest. Dense forest, steep terrain, rivers, no roads. Even experienced skydivers wouldn't attempt this jump. And yet, D.B. Cooper did it with $200,000 strapped to his body. The FBI searched for weeks. Helicopters, ground teams, bloodhounds. They found nothing. No parachute, no body, no money, no trace. It was as if he had vanished into thin air. But everything investigators believed until this point was wrong. For 9 years, there was nothing. No leads, no arrests, no evidence. And then, in February 1980, an 8-year-old boy was playing along the Columbia River near Portland, Oregon. His name was Brian Ingram. He was digging a fire pit in the sandy beach when his shovel hit something. Bundles of rotted $20 bills, rubber bands disintegrated. The cash was caked in mud. The FBI tested the serial numbers. Every single bill matched the ransom money given to DB Cooper, $5,800. That's all they ever found. But here's the mystery. The money was found along the Columbia River, miles away from the projected flight path. How did it get there? Did Cooper land in the river and drown? Did the money wash downstream? Or did he bury it there himself and never return? The discovery raised more questions than it answered. Over the decades, the FBI investigated more than 800 suspects. The first was Richard Floyd McCoy. 5 months after Cooper's jump, McCoy hijacked a United Airlines flight in almost the exact same way. He demanded $500,000 and 4 parachutes. He jumped over Utah and survived. He was arrested 2 days later. The FBI believed McCoy could be Cooper. Same method, same precision. But witnesses described Cooper as mid-40s. McCoy was in his late 20s, and McCoy had an alibi for Thanksgiving Eve, 1971. He was ruled out. Then there was Kenneth Christensen, a Northwest Orient Airlines purser. He knew the Boeing 727 inside and out. He was a paratrooper in World War II. After 1971, he suddenly had money he couldn't explain. His brother claimed Christensen confessed on his deathbed in 1994, but the FBI found no evidence linking him to the hijacking. Another suspect, Robert Rackstraw, former Army helicopter pilot, Special Forces, explosives expert, parachute instructor. In 2018, investigators claimed they found a coded confession in letters Rackstraw allegedly sent to newspapers. But Rackstraw died in 2019 without ever being charged. The FBI officially closed the case in 2016, stating they had exhausted all credible leads. But they kept the evidence, the parachutes, the ransom money, the DNA samples lifted from Cooper's tie. And then, in 2024, something changed. In 2024, the children of Richard Floyd McCoy came forward with something investigators had never seen. Richard McCoy III and his sister Shantae had been going through their late mother's belongings. Hidden in a storage unit, they found a parachute harness, modified, altered in a way that seemed to match the parachute system from 1971. They contacted Dan Grider, a pilot and investigator who had been researching the case for years. Grider examined the parachute and claimed the modifications matched the equipment given to Cooper. The McCoy siblings also revealed that their mother had told them, years before she died, that their father was involved in something on Thanksgiving Eve, 1971. She never gave details. Independent investigators urged the FBI to re-examine the McCoy theory. In 2024, some reports suggested federal agents visited the McCoy family property, though the FBI has not officially confirmed reopening the case. But here's the problem with the McCoy theory. If McCoy was DB Cooper, why was none of the remaining ransom money, over $194,000, ever found? Why didn't any witnesses recognize him during the hijacking? And why would a man who had already pulled off the perfect crime risk doing it again just 5 months later? Richard Floyd McCoy died in 1974, killed in a shootout with FBI agents after escaping from prison. If he was Cooper, the final proof died with him. But the evidence still doesn't fit perfectly. Even with all the suspects, one question remains. Could anyone have survived that jump? Professional skydivers have analyzed the conditions: freezing rain, high winds, total darkness, dense forest below. The odds of survival were almost zero. But if Cooper was an experienced paratrooper like McCoy, he might have had a chance. Or the other possibility, Cooper didn't survive. The money found in 1980 could be all that remained. If his body landed in a remote area, wildlife and decomposition would have erased all evidence within weeks. The wilderness could have swallowed him whole. D.B. Cooper changed aviation forever. After 1971, airlines installed the Cooper vane, a device that prevents rear air stairs from opening during flight. Airport security was revolutionized. One man, one jump, one perfect crime. And 53 years later, we still don't know his real name. Was it Richard Floyd McCoy, Robert Rackstraw, or someone we've never suspected? The FBI may have closed the case, but the mystery of D.B. Cooper will never die. Do you think D.B. Cooper survived? Was it McCoy? Or is the real hijacker still unknown? Drop your theory in the comments. Subscribe to Vanished Mysteries for cases where the impossible becomes reality. D.B. Cooper jumped into legend, and the truth is still out there. Did Cooper survive or die in the jump? Comment your theory. Subscribe for mysteries that defy explanation. And watch our Asha degree investigation, another case cracked by DNA evidence in 2024.